Hi, I'm Ethan, and I own too many cars. Today, let's talk about it. So if you've been following my channel, if you watched any of my other videos, you're likely aware that I own a lot of cars, too many cars. I've owned almost 60 cars in my life, and you might think that's kind of crazy. It is a little crazy, but I just kind of like to experience different cars. I like to experience different eras of cars, the features, the performance, the design. I'm a big fan of forgotten and rare cars of the past. I also have a thing for cheap cars, and I have this misguided idea that I could actually save a car from a crusher. I've had a pattern of buying them and fixing some things up, and then passing them on for somebody else to enjoy. Sometimes this goes really well, and then there are times when this doesn't go well at all. So yeah, we're gonna get into all these cars. We're gonna go through every single car that I have here, the story behind why I have them, what's broken, what's working, and try to figure out the psychology behind an idiot like me owning this many cars. Especially when I actually don't even drive that much. I don't even really like driving that much. Now, to be clear, I live in Los Angeles. It really kind of sucks driving here. There's traffic everywhere you go. People drive crazy. The kind of driving that I really like to do is driving that I don't really have to do. I like to go on road trips. I like to take cars like this on canyon roads. I love racing on racetracks. So yeah, it's kind of stupid that I own this many vehicles considering I live in Los Angeles and driving here sucks, but I do live really close to some amazing canyon roads, some of the best in the country. So I guess I have a little justification for my stupid fleet. But yeah, I want all of my driving experiences to be fun. With some of these cars, they are extremely fun, but there's a few here where didn't really work out. So let's talk about all of these pieces of crap. I mean, they're not all pieces of crap, but most of them are. Now, if you haven't seen it already, you have to check out my previous video with this vehicle. I imported it from Japan. I bought it sight unseen. I didn't know anything about the vehicle. I knew it looked really nice, had a really beautiful paint job, but lurking underneath all of these panels was an insane mess of wires. I can't even explain to you how crazy this was. My mechanic, Spencer, he had never seen anything like it in all his years working on vehicles. This was by far, number one, the most crazy up car he's ever worked on. Almost 100 pounds of wiring, so much extra crap, magnets everywhere. There were magnets all in this car. It was hard to explain. Whoever owned this car before me, maybe it was a little cuckoo. There was a pond in the back. There was a snake in the gas tank. You have to watch that video, it was nuts. But besides all that, now that the car is running great, this car is so much fun to drive. It's still got a few issues here and there. The previous owner cut apart the door panels to fit some like big speakers, so that's a little bit messed up. There's a few little interior issues here and there, but I think I can fix that. But it is like such a 90s JDM car with all the gauges on the dashboard. This comically small steering wheel. It sounds awesome. It makes a ton of power. It's really fast. It's pretty fun on a canyon road too. It's a little low to the ground. My tires like to rub a little bit on some corners. But yeah, this is an amazingly fun car. I'll do a full in-depth review of this car coming soon. All right, off to the next one. Now moving on to the rarest car that I own at the moment, my 1988 Chevrolet Nova Twin Cam. They only made about 3,300 of these vehicles. It's got an amazing 4A GE motor under the hood, makes 110 horsepower, and that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you realize that this vehicle only weighs about 2,200 pounds, it is a whole lot. This car is a lot of fun on a canyon road. And I just passed 120,000 miles, which is pretty exciting. I bought this car back in 2018. I put about 6,000 or 7,000 miles on it. I've taken it to Radwood shows. I've taken it everywhere on canyon roads, on road trips. And I just love this interior. I love this angular, boxy interior. But yeah, there's a few things it needs. It needs an upholstery cleaning. It needs a headliner. I don't know, I just never notice it because I'm always looking out the window. I'm never looking up. This is one of the vehicles that I can't ever see myself getting rid of. It's awesome. All right, on to the next one. This is the newest addition to my fleet, a 2005 Nissan Altima. Yes, a 2005 Nissan Altima. You might be asking yourself, why the hell did you buy a champagne beige 2005 Nissan Altima? Honestly, I have no idea why I bought this car. I just sort of have a thing for cheap transportation. This was $1,800. I got it because it was a manual transmission. That's really kind of it. It was a cheap manual transmission Nissan Altima. And no, it's not fun to drive. No, it's not quick. No, it doesn't really have good driving dynamics. Yeah, it's kind of comfortable. The interior is in really good condition. For as unremarkable as this car is, I love driving it. I love the fact that I can go around, be completely anonymous. You see a champagne colored 2005 Altima, nobody's gonna bat an eye. If you wanted to commit a ton of crimes, this is the car to do it in because it just blends in. And you know, a lot of people love to make fun of Altimas. I think Altimas get some undeserved hate. This is a really good vehicle. This car went 208,000 miles. It's still going strong. It was really reliable for the previous owner. And you just have to remember that the 2005 Altima, I think 2002 to like 2006, this was the generation of Altima that was a really big deal. I don't know if you remember. All you kids nowadays don't remember how important the 2002 Altima was to Nissan. It basically saved the company. Yeah, I know Nissan's not doing that well right now, but in the late 90s, Nissan also wasn't doing really well. And this car, this generation Altima, this was a really, really big deal and a huge leap forward for Altima because the previous Altima wasn't really all that good. So yeah, again, I don't really know why I bought this car, but I love it for some strange reason. Okay, off to the next one. All right, here we are, my 1991 Toyota Land Cruiser, the FJ80. It still smells terrible in here. Previous owner smoked like a chimney. The windows don't really roll up all the way, so it's got some mold and mildew, and it's really dirty and disgusting. The dashboard is completely f***ed up. Oh man, where do I even start with this car? Buying this vehicle was definitely a mistake. However, I've been having a ton of fun with my friend Serge fixing this thing up. It's slow going. We had to replace the steering column. He found me lots of interior panels at the junkyard. The back of this vehicle is just filled with parts that I need to put on. Yeah, just everything's dangling. There's two keys. There's a key to turn it on down here, and there's a key up here that locks the steering wheel. It's a complete disaster. Is there any good news with this vehicle? I don't think there's any good news with this vehicle. Hopefully someday it'll run properly. So I bought this vehicle sight unseen at auction, which is the worst way to buy a vehicle. And yes, there's a lot more wrong with this vehicle than I had initially thought. The biggest problem is the head gasket has failed. Yep, it's overheating, it's not good. So this is a vehicle that I know it's gonna cost me a lot to get it fixed because I don't think I'm going to be able to do the head gasket myself. And a head gasket on an FJ80 is probably like $3,000, $4,000. So, and you might think, is that worth it? I think it is. FJ80s are awesome vehicles when they're buttoned up properly. So I'm really looking forward to getting this thing fixed up, getting the engine running properly, getting it smogged. And because this is a salvage vehicle, I think I'm not gonna be too concerned with keeping it all original. Initially, I was thinking I'm gonna keep it 100% original, but kind of make it look factory. Because it's never gonna be worth as much as a clean title vehicle, I might lift it a couple inches. We'll see. Anyway, this car's a disaster. I regret buying it, but hopefully I can get it fixed, and at some point I'll take it off-road. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good at some point, but it's a project. I'm an idiot. Look what's back! My Ford Probe is back, and it's actually running, and it's running well. How is this possible? In my last video of this vehicle, maybe over a year ago, I'm not even sure at this point, it had overheated badly. I thought it was the end of this vehicle. I kind of let it sit for a long time because I just was so frustrated with it. Then I brought it over to the shop that had worked on my 944 Turbo, and it sat there a very long time. We didn't really make it a priority. It basically was like free parking for me. It sat on his lot for like 8 months. And eventually I was like, okay, I gotta get this car fixed. And turns out, yeah, it overheated, but nothing got damaged. Compression test, everything showed up fine. Basically, what had happened was some serious misfiring was going on. So they replaced a ton of stuff, plugs, wires, intake manifold gasket, tons of vacuum lines that had cracked because there's vacuum lines that like go underneath the intake. It's insane. Like you're trying to cram a V6 in a front wheel drive vehicle. There's just so much garbage under there that over many years doesn't want to work right anymore. And I think the reason why a lot of these cars got junked over the years is because they're just not easy to work on. There's no space in the engine bay to work on them. I think that's why you just don't see these anymore, because people got fed up with them. And that's where I got this car. I got this car from an auction, $300, just because somebody gave up on it. Oh, the other thing that we discovered is that the catalytic converter was so clogged that was what was causing a lot of the issues with the engine, because there was no way for the exhaust to get out of the vehicle. You could put your hand behind the tailpipes and almost nothing came out. So that was one of the main reasons why it was misfiring and it was running so poorly. So a couple weeks ago, I decided, okay, I'm gonna cut out the catalytic converter. I'm gonna go to AutoZone and get myself a new one. And as I was cutting that out, I realized that, oh geez, a lot of the exhaust is rusted out. So I thought, okay, let me cut off these rusted tailpipes. And as I was cutting off the rusted tailpipes, the whole muffler just fell out of the car and the rest of the exhaust just kind of dangled. Right now, this vehicle has no exhaust. I need to take care of that because it's actually quite loud. So, surprise, this car actually runs great. Just needs exhaust and paint. Anyway, I'm excited about this car. It's back in action, sort of. All right, so here's another vehicle that I don't think I ever want to get rid of. This was the first car that I ever bought new, my 2005 Scion XB. And you might remember a series of videos that I had with this vehicle where I was getting the thing painted and how I had a terrible experience with the shop that painted it. But since then I had found another shop to really fix up the paint and make it look really nice. I replaced those old rusty steel wheels with some bronze Koenig wheels that I love. I still think it's insane that this vehicle is almost 20 years old and the interior looks awesome. There's no rips in the seat, there's no cracks in the dashboard, the steering wheel looks perfect. By the 2000s, Toyota figured out how to make interiors that did not fall apart. And we kept this thing outside for those whole 20 years. This car was never garaged. That's why the paint had looked so terrible, but that's fixed now. The car looks awesome. It's got 226,000 miles on it, so at some point this engine's probably gonna blow up, but if it does, I think I'm gonna fix it. I love this car. It's so spacious in here. It's almost at the point where this thing is a classic. But yeah, I love this vehicle. I have so many memories with this vehicle. We've taken it on so many road trips. Not gonna get rid of it. This is a good one. It's a keeper. All right, so here's a car that for a long time I sort of had a love-hate relationship with. You know, it's really easy to make fun of a Toyota Prius, especially from the perspective of a car enthusiast, but this car has its place. It's extremely safe. We drive my kid around in this thing all the time. This is the car that I take when I don't care about driving, which is a lot of the time, slogging through traffic. It's got really good adaptive cruise control. I swapped out the garbage Toyota infotainment system with a CarPlay unit. I still regret paying $2,000 for the tech package that this thing came with because it was completely garbage. I used to complain about how small it was when my kid was in a rear-facing seat, but now that she's forward-facing, I can get this really far back and I got plenty of leg room. We've averaged 52 miles per gallon over the lifetime of this vehicle. It's got almost 85,000 miles on it. It's been one of the most reliable cars I've ever had. So this car has been incredibly cheap to run. It's easy to make fun of a Toyota Prius, but this is probably one of the best cars I've owned. Yeah, it's incredibly ugly, and there are some issues. The steering wheel is kind of falling apart. Our sun visors are kind of turning pink for some reason, and we ran over a tire on the freeway, so the front end's a little smashed up. But other than that, this is a good car. I love this vehicle. When I first got it, I hated it. I didn't like it. There was so much wrong with it. It was a piece of crap. The interior is in really terrible shape. There's mismatched seats. The door panels look like garbage. But that's actually one of the great things about this vehicle is that I can drive it through a gigantic mud puddle and get it completely coated in mud, and I don't care. It's hilarious. My friend Charles has helped me fix this thing up quite a bit. He took the top off because it was terrible, and honestly, I don't even think I want to put a new top on because it's so much fun just having this as a convertible. A Jeep Wrangler is kind of like the coolest convertible. I've spent like, I can't even tell you how much, probably like $5,000, $6,000 on this car. Everything's new under the hood. There's a new radiator, brake booster, brakes are all new. New clutch slave cylinder. It used to shift like garbage and now it shifts really nice. There's so many things we did to this vehicle, with the exception of replacing this garbage interior, which I don't know if I want to replace it, but it is kind of nice having a Jeep Wrangler that is like rough around the edges. That means I can take it anywhere and I'm not going to care about getting a ding or a dent or dirtying anything up. It still needs a lot of love. Oh yeah, it still needs a lot of love, like, you know, things like the turn signal falling off. This car is super comfortable. It's a bummer that the head gasket is so fucked up. If you saw my previous video with this vehicle, you'll realize that I also bought this car sight unseen for next to nothing. I paid $1,200 for this heap of garbage, and that was $1,200 too much. When I bought it, I kind of wasn't really thinking that it was the North Star V8. For some reason, I thought this had a different V8 and not the North Star V8. And if you know anything about North Star V8s, you know that the early ones, especially, are almost all garbage. Head gasket problems galore, they all fail. And they fail early too. This vehicle only has 77,000 miles on it. The interior is immaculate, it's beautiful. There's so much about this vehicle to love. This burgundy color in here is just marvelous. But the problem with these vehicles is that fixing that North Star V8 isn't as simple as just a head gasket job. You have to drill out the old head bolts, put in some new ones that are much bigger, and it costs a ton of money for a vehicle that isn't really worth anything. I don't think these vehicles are quite old enough for people to have nostalgia for them. It might just be on the edge of that. So yeah, this vehicle on a good day might be worth $5,000, $6,000 maybe. And for me to fix this car would probably cost me another $4,000 or $5,000. So I wish I had done more research on this vehicle before I blindly purchased it, because yeah, it's not something that I can tackle. I thought I was going to be able to tackle it, but in the end, it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for me to do it. And here's why. This vehicle is a salvage title car, and I did not know that when I bought it. Yes, another stupid mistake by this car idiot right here. When you purchase at auction, they list the type of title that it has, and this one was listed as a clean title. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. It's unfortunate that a vehicle this clean, something like this would be deemed a salvage just because it was too expensive to fix that garbage North Star V8. I don't know what's gonna happen to this car. I can't fix it, so I'm probably gonna sell it to somebody that wants to take this project on. I found somebody that might want to buy it. Yeah, stupid decision. I mean, there's a lot to be learned from this video. Just don't be an idiot like me. Don't buy cars sight unseen. Don't buy a ton of cars. Basically, just don't be interested in cars in general, because no matter what, no matter how you look at it, cars are gonna cost you way more than they're worth. Maybe sometimes you'll luck out and you'll make some money on a car, but I hear a lot of people talk about how I made money on this car when I sold it. I'm like, a lot of people lie to themselves because they just want to believe that they didn't make a stupid decision. So don't lie to yourself about your vehicles. This was a stupid purchase. And I think that's what the thing with this car. I liked it. I don't love this car enough to spend $4,000 to fix a head gasket. I'm gonna let somebody else do it. All right, this piece of garbage. Once again, a vehicle that I was smitten by the shape of this two-door Fox Wagon. It's a vehicle that I've always loved the look of it. I've known that they're not exactly great vehicles. This one has way too many miles, 254,000 miles on it. It's in bad shape. The dashboard's cracked. The interior is garbage. The brake pedal goes all the way to the floor. It leaks fuel. It does run and drive, sort of, if you carry a fire extinguisher with you. The sunroof leaks. I came in here, there was about 2 inches of water in here after the rains, and I found right in the back there, a little tiny plant was growing in the car. Yeah, that's what kind of car this is. Yeah, so I bought this, I don't know, maybe 6-8 months ago. At this point, maybe it was a year ago, I don't even remember. It's one of those good intentions vehicles. I love so much about this car, even though it's terrible. I had wanted to fix it up, get the engine running really well, clean up the interior, but I had too many other projects going on, and this one was just always so overwhelming. There's just so much wrong. So if I didn't have so many other projects, this probably would have gotten top priority just because of the shape. I love the shape of this silly little car. Again, I don't really know what I want to do with it. It doesn't really take up a whole lot of space for me to just let it sit for a little bit longer, but I feel like maybe it's time to pass it on to somebody else that can get this thing running. Although I believe the last 2 owners also were in a similar position where they bought it with good intentions and never got it fixed. So as rare as this car is nowadays, it seems like it should be saved, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe it's too far gone. Maybe it's a parts car. Maybe I accidentally bought a parts car. I think that's the thing with some old cars. There's always this desire to try to save them, but that's just not always feasible. There's just more old cars than there are people willing to save them and to fix them up. So no, I'm not gonna send this one to the crusher. I'm not sending this one to the junkyard, but you know, looking at it, I'm like, is this really worth saving? I don't know. It's not in good shape. So yeah, I don't know what to do about this one. What would you do with this vehicle? Do you wanna buy it? Let me know. Okay, last but not least, Liam Nissan. He's under there somewhere. This is just another one of those things where we just haven't got around to fixing it. Our 24 Hours of Lemons team that used to race this vehicle kind of fell apart. One of our teammates moved to Colorado, the other one moved to New Jersey, so we're kind of all spread out now, and this car has just been sitting. So I can give you a quick look at what Liam is looking like nowadays. It's pretty sad. There it is. Oh my gosh, it looks terrible. But anyway, that's Liam Nissan. The whole livery completely fell off. If you've seen videos of this car in the past, you'll know that it had a glorious wrap. By wrap, it was just printed paper taped on there with packing tape. Liam will race again. Liam will live to see another day. We have a new engine in there that is mostly hooked up. A couple more things we need to do to get it connected. I think I'm probably gonna actually do a real wrap for this car instead of just paper taped to it, so it'll last a little bit longer. But you can see that the painting that my wife did is still there. It's still intact, so that's pretty nice. This one, it's a pretty sad story, but we will get to it sometime. Okay, so that's my fleet of some decent cars, mostly terrible cars, some decent decisions, but mostly bad decisions. I think we should all use this video as a reminder to not be like me. Don't buy a bunch of cars because it's generally not worth it. Just live vicariously through my stupid decisions. Don't do this to yourself. So ultimately, if I look at this fleet of garbage, definitely keeping the Nova. This Chaser's gotta stay for a while. Definitely keeping the Scion. The Wrangler's staying for a while. The Cadillac is going on the first tow truck out of this area. The Probe, I wanna fix that one up a little bit more. I really wanna get that painted. That Fox, I just gotta get rid of it. If you want it, come take it. My Altima, I love my Altima. It's so dumb. Still trying to figure out what I want to do with it. I kind of want to just like paint it hot pink. I don't know why, it just sounds fun. FJ, I don't know what to do with that. I'll just push it off a cliff, not really sure. All right, I guess that's it for today. If you like this video, please consider subscribing, hitting that like button. If you want a Hello Road t-shirt to help support this madness, go to helloroad.tv/shop. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're well, and I'll see you soon.